Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we are going to be making tiny, salty, chocolatey cookies from Alison Roman's cookbook, Nothing Fancy. These are a flourless chocolate cookie, obviously, and they are topped with some flaky salt. And you will want flaky salt for this, so um, just because it's got a good finishing texture. You don't want like a ton of little bitty salt on it. It'd be too salty. Anyway, I've already got all of my ingredients here, almost all measured out. But the first thing we need to do is to melt our butter and brown it. So I am going to do that over on the stove on medium heat. So I'm going to get that started while I do a little bit of this other stuff, just because it will take a little bit to start melting and I can do a little work while I do that. So I'm going to put it on my stove on medium heat and keep an eye on it. So I haven't measured out my confectioner sugar yet, which is the main part of this cookie, or it seems like most of what is in this cookie. And she says you do not have to sift this. You can just whisk it together to get the lumps out. But mine is super lumpy. It has been for a little bit, so I'm going to be pushing it through this sieve. I'm supposed to be swirling that, but it is still melting and none of it is getting too hot. So I'm really keeping an eye on it. Oh, I hear it starting to sizzle. So let's take this camera over there. All right, you see it's starting to sizzle, which means the water is starting to cook out. And we're going to, she says to whisk it. I've got my whisk that will get into the corners for this pan. And I'm just going to let it keep doing this until it's a little brown. I think once I stop hearing that is when it will start to actually brown, because right now it's boiling the water out. Now, since I already have this out, I'm going to sift my next ingredient too, which is cocoa powder. Now, she says this is the time to use the best quality cocoa powder that you have, unsweetened. I had this Ghirardelli cocoa powder available in my cabinet already, so I didn't really go looking for anything else, but that's what I have. So that's what I'm using. And we're going to just sift it together with the confectioner sugar. I think pretty soon we will start to see some browning, but not quite yet. There we go. I'm going to put this in the sink. Not there yet. All right. So we're supposed to whisk this together. I was hoping not to have to get my whisk out since I did the sifting. So we're going to see. This is a lot more volume than I was expecting. I would have gotten my larger bowl out, but that's okay. It will all go down once we start adding liquid to this, I believe. We'll see. There's not a lot of liquid, but anyway. Hopefully this will hold everything. It's only supposed to make 24 cookies. So I think that's decent. Oh, we do need to add some salt to this. This is kosher salt. There we go. It has been way more than 4 minutes because we had to resync our cameras and stuff for a while. So it's been at least 5 minutes, probably more like 7 or 8 considering. And it's not brown yet. So 3 to 4 minutes is not right on my stove, let's just say. But the sound has definitely changed. So I'm going to go watch it very closely. All right, so that very quickly went from just starting to smell nutty to starting to get very brown. I don't know if you can see in there, probably not, but it's definitely brown. And now we have to cool this. So I'm gonna put it on my granite countertops. Do not do this if you do not know that your countertops can deal with the heat. Mine can. I do it all the time. And I also use it to my advantage to cool things more quickly from the stone. So while that's cooling, I'm going to start mixing in some other ingredients. I want to get this mixed up a little bit. I'm going to use, that's hot. I'm not going to use that. Just a second. So in here I have 1 whole egg and some egg whites. So I'm just going to get that mixed up together. So she doesn't say to do this, but I just feel like I need to. There we go. So I'm going to put this in here. We're going to start mixing. Since there's no flour in this, we don't really have to worry about over mixing. So that's good, at least. Our eggs are nicely mixed in. So we're going to kind of move those to one side mostly. And put the butter in. I'm going to scrape that pan in just a minute. But I want to get it mixed in so our eggs are not going to get, you know, yucky and scrambly. But I don't think they will. The dough itself is not hot, so that's good. The cold eggs, I'm sure, helped that. I just want to make sure I get all of the nice browned butter bits off the bottom of the pan. I feel like I need a wooden spoon for this. All right. That is a decent mixture, mostly mixed. And now we're going to add the last, well, not quite the last ingredients, but this is some chopped chocolate. She says bittersweet, at least 67% cacao. This is quite a lot of chocolate. I still don't know how this is only going to make 24 small cookies, but we'll see. And then I have these nuts that I chopped. She says to finely chop them. Not all of mine are all that finely chopped, but I'm using hazelnuts because I love chocolates and hazelnuts together. But she said you can use hazelnuts, almonds, pistachios, pecans, or walnuts, and the nuts are optional. So if you don't like nuts, can't eat nuts, you can still make the cookies. Now getting this mixed up feels like it's going to be a chore. She does say to use chopped chocolate, and I hate chopping chocolate. It's so messy, but I did it. This is so difficult to get mixed up. Even though my butter was warm, so the dough should be relatively warm. If I did this again, I might use a mixer. She said it's somewhere between a dough and a batter. I feel like this is much more dough-like than batter-like, but you know, it is what it is. All right. So there we go. Now time to scoop them. I'm going to clean this off a little bit so I can put my tray down here and not get yucky stuff that will go into my oven. Lined my baking trays with parchment. And now I need a scoop. She says to use a spoon and use a quarter size blob. I'm going to go see what size scoopers I have because it's so much easier. feel like this is the smallest scoop I have, and it's about quarter size, so we will try this. We're going to, she says these will spread a lot. I still don't know how they're only going to be, and we need to keep 2 inches between them. So about on a I think this is a half sheet pan, we'll definitely get a dozen only. This looks like it will make way more than 2 dozen. But anyway, now that I've got a dozen scooped out, let's see what we need to do. Yes, we need to sprinkle them with some of this flaky salt. So I'm just going to get my fingers in there and sprinkle a little bit on each one and try to keep it on top. She does call out Malden or Jacobson flaky sea salt. These only cook for 6 to 8 minutes. So while I'm going to set a timer for 6 minutes and check them, she says they will have flattened considerably and look baked through and a little wrinkled. And then we're supposed to let them cool before we eat them. So into the oven they go. I'm gonna, I don't know, call these good, maybe? I don't think they look cooked through, but we'll let them cool. This was 8 minutes. I'm gonna let them cool and see if they stay together. We'll see. I'm gonna try the next batch, 8 minutes, without opening the door, to see what happens. All right. Looking at these, I have made the executive decision to let those ones go 2 minutes longer. Maybe wrong, maybe right, but these look a little underdone, which I think is not great for this cookie that does not have any flour in it. So, second batch we're going to let go for 10 minutes instead of 8. These are 10 minutes. Do they look much different? Not really, but I'm going to cook the next batch for 10 minutes as well. And I've written on this one that these were 8 minutes. So the other ones will be 10. And we'll let you know what we prefer and how long it took in our oven. Now, I do have a new oven that has not been, I haven't like checked that it is correct temperature-wise. It seems to be working okay, but you know, I haven't checked it with a thermometer, which I should do. Anyway, but we'll show you what these look like and let you know what we think in just a minute. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make tiny, salty, chocolatey cookies from Alison Roman's Nothing Fancy. So I baked this batch for 8 minutes, which was sort of the maximum time that she suggested here in the recipe. And then the rest of them I baked for 10 minutes. So I was going to give them a try here. We've tried them already, as you can probably tell. I feel like the 8-minute ones are a little underdone for us. Now, I like a gooey cookie, but I think these ones, since they have no flour in them, really need to be a little bit more cooked. So it looks a lot like just chocolate in the center. I did take a picture of both of these sort of side by side when they were a little bit warmer. Little salty, definitely taste the chocolatiness from the cocoa, and also there's quite a bit of chopped chocolate in there, so it is very chocolatey. And so this one, they certainly look a little bit different. From the top, you can definitely tell they look a little bit more cooked, a little bit less dark. Although that one broke open a little bit differently and looks a little gooier in the middle. Definitely a little more done, but not crunchy and still kind of gooey because of the chocolate, the chopped chocolate in there. Either way, can't go wrong. They are super chocolatey, super dark. That is the main flavor that you get. So you want to make sure you have a good quality unsweetened cocoa powder, good quality chocolate, and you can't go wrong here. Choose a nut you like. And I would say that, you know, the salt is a nice foil to the sweetness of the cookie. It didn't necessarily spread as much on my sort of balls of cookie as I would have liked, but it's good. Definitely go for a flaky salt though. And we would make them again. They were pretty easy. Not sure why it made 3 dozen instead of 2 dozen, because I think that I made them the right size, scooped them the right size. They were about a quarter size. If anything, I thought they would be a little bit too big, but they're not. So I feel like the recipe makes more than she said, and I don't think a half a cup, if you left out the nuts, I don't think if you left out the nuts that would take away a whole dozen cookies, because that is an optional ingredient. Could easily be gluten-free, vegetarian, not vegan. You need the eggs in this recipe. I'm sure there are recipes that, you know, have egg substitutes and it would be fine, but anyway. All that to say, I really like them. I'm looking forward to finishing these off. They will last at room temperature in a tightly covered container. So that's what I'm about to do. And then I'm going to go to bed. So if you've enjoyed watching me make this, please give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this with your friends. Let me know if you've tried these in the comments down below. And come back and watch me make something else next week.